Part 7, The Lesson. Beyond desire without parts above egoism being or non-being whatever thou art, thou canst not escape from being the self. Thou destroyest, protectest, givest, shinest, speakest, though ever free from egoism. Wonderful is the power of Maya, illusion. Yoga Vasishta. He thought, I may become many and multiply. He objectified himself and evolved all this, everything whatever. Having evolved this, he entered into it, and entering became all positives and all negatives, all spirit and all matter, all infinite and all finite. Upanishad. Then, when it was all unmanifest, it, of itself, became manifest through name and form, endowing everything with this or that name, and this or that form. All things even till now are defined by some name and some form. This is all the import of its entering in the objective evolved from itself. Upanishad. Dadai and Gatharvana thus describe this divine honey to the Asvinakumar as the seer telling what he saw, describing it as taking on a separate form with every form. The ever-effulgent is understood to take on many forms through illusion solely for the purpose of self-realization. Upanishad. The one who is self-enlightened, becomes everything from the highest to the lowest, becomes the many in dreams, and as it were, enjoys all pleasures, laughs a hearty laugh with friends, or feels the sense of fear on seeing cause for it. Upanishad. In dreams there are in reality no chariots, no horses, not even the course on which the chariot may run, and yet all these are mentally created in a moment. There are in reality no joys, no pleasures, no delights, and yet all are mentally seen and felt at the instant. There are in reality no ponds, no lakes, no rivers, and yet all are there at the merest thought. This power of evolving any number of forms from itself is the creative power of the One. Upanishad. This, therefore, is the truth. As from fire well lighted, fiery sparks flow off in all directions by the thousand, so do all beings of every variety come out, O good one, from the ever immutable, and are resolved also into the same. It is the self-illumined, formless, spirit, all within and all without, unborn, without breath, without mind, above all conditions, beyond the eternal cause of the phenomenal. Upanishad. Camphor and the like never cease to emit fragrance, though kept in any place whatever. The whole of the phenomenal may, in the same manner, be seen in that which is all consciousness. As the bracelet is in the gold, as water is in the mirage, or even as a wall stands round the city seen in dream, so subsists the form of every object in the subject. Yoga Vasishta. He who generally knows everything, knows the same particularly also. This omniscience is the only austerity known to him. Upanishad. As the statue pre-exists in the wood, and a statue exists again in every limb of that statue, and so on ad infinitum, so does this gigantic statue, the cosmos, exist in the One. Yoga Vasishta. The wise realize everywhere that which is beyond sight, beyond grasp, which has no relation whatever, which has no form, which has no eye and no ear, no hand, no foot, which is eternal, all-pervading, smallest of the small, ever immutable, the source of all being, as a spider spins out his web from within himself and draws it in at pleasure, or as herbs grow out of the earth, or as hairs grow out of the living man, so, indeed, does evolve the cosmos from the ever unchangeable One. Upanishad. This Asvatha tree, with root upward and branches extending below, stands eternally thriving. It is the spotless, it is as the self, that verily is the immortal. All worlds subsist in it, nothing can't transcend it. This is that. Through it burn fire, through it shines the sun, through it thunders Indra, through it blows the wind. If thou failest in this world to see the light before the dissolution of thy body, thou hast before thee a passage in another body through worlds and creations. Upanishad. As consciousness bears witness to itself, or as separateness bears out separateness, so is illusion sufficient, of itself, to bear out itself and everything it contains. This indeed is illusion, capable of bringing about things and events beyond conception. It deludes all in the whirl of its elusive action. Svaragisati. The self-existent inflicted a curse on the senses in endowing them with a tendency to objectivize. It is hence that they tend to objects without, and not to the subject within. Some rare sages desirous of immortality see the self, turning their eyes within. Children find pleasure in the objective, and become bound in the expansive net of death. The wise, knowing immortality as the only thing stable, care not to desire anything of the impermanent. Upanishad. Self is the rider on the chariot of this body, guided by the intellect as charioteer, drawn by the senses as powerful horses, controlled by way of the mind serving for the reins. Thus runs the vehicle over the course of experience. The self thus conditioned by the senses and the mind is called the enjoyer by those who know. He who is forsaken by the charioteer, intelligent discrimination, and has no idea of guiding the reins his mind in the proper manner, has no control over the senses, and is like a driver of restive horses. He who has the intellect for his driver and the mind for proper reins, is able to reach the other end of the course. The highest essence of the all-pervading, that ever concealed in all, is never manifest, but is grasped by the sharp intellect of those who are trained to minute observation. Upanishad. Though having only 3 gunas, or qualities, thou art the cause of all the worlds. Even the gods fail, through want of insight, to measure the depth of thy immeasurable power. Thou art the sustainer of all. The whole of this universe is only a particle of thyself. Thou indeed art the undifferentiated first cause, the highest Prakriti. O Divine Mother! Thou art that supreme science of power inconceivably immense, which sages desirous of liberation, rising above every weakness, apply themselves to, with the inner power of their senses held tight in perfect control. The Saptasati, Markandeya Purana. Thou art the light that shines through the sun, dispelling the darkness of ignorance prevailing within. Thou art the vein that carries the fragrant honey of the flower of consciousness to every particle of matter. Thou art that which becomes thousands of that jewel which satisfies every desire of the needy. Thou, Divine One, art to those struggling in the ocean of incarnation, the restorer and preserver. Anandalahari. This divine goddess, the power of supreme illusion, forcibly drags away the mind even of the knower into the web of delusion. Saptasati, Markandeya Purana. He who while fully attached of his body, desires to realize self, prepares to cross a river on the back of a crocodile mistaking it for a piece of wood. Vivekaknidamani. If the wise man leans towards objects and enjoyments, forgetfulness throws him off the guard, like an adulteress for paramour, by clouding his intellect. As moss moved from upon the face of water stands not away even for a minute, delusion, maya, envelopes even the knowing one, if he is off his guard. Vivekaknidamani. A woman may appear as a wife, daughter-in-law, sister-in-law, brother's wife, mother, and so on, respectively, to the several persons related to her, but she herself continues ever one. Panchadasi. That the origin of experience is explained from evolution, after the manner of pots, etc., from clay instruments, etc., from iron or sparks from fire, is only a method of putting the matter to the learner. There is, in reality, no distinction whatever in the all. Gaudapadakriya. He, who imagines a limit in the limitless, transcendent, self, has, of himself, put his self in bondage. Yoga Vasishta. That which is not at beginning and end, is not in the present moment. Also things, though fully resembling unreality, are said to be real by a kind of metaphor. Gaudapadakriya. Experience known as experience tends to degrade, but known as import of the world, it becomes all perfect bliss. Yoga Vasishta. Thou alone eternally evolvest through the gracefulness of thyself made up of being and non-being, having for its embodiment the wonderful variety of endless objects. Yoga Vasishta. As the rope, not understood as such, is mistaken, in the dark, for a snake, so is spirit mistaken for the variety of this world. Gaudapadakriya. Experience, full of likes and dislikes, is verily a dream real while it lasts, all unreal on being awake. Atmabada.